Emerging from wreckage is no other than Godzilla, alive and well. He rises from the ground, rubbles falling from his spine, and lifts his head to roar into the night sky. Then he lowers his gaze to the group, freezing them in their tracks. But instead of attacking, he continues to look downward until his eyes widen. Nick sees he is looking at the babies, his own children. The monster bellows softly, almost like a purr as he lowers his head to them. He gently presses on their bodies with his snout, attempting to wake them up. They show no signs of life. Godzilla groans, a surprisingly sad sound from such a titan, and tries again and again to rouse his youngs with no success. His eyes narrows, and Nick's bear he almost appears to be crying. He almost feels bad for the creature, remembering Mickey's speech about him being the last of his kind. Mickey too appears to feel sympathetic, but the moment is short-lived. Godzilla's nose twitches and lifts his gaze back up to the group. His expression changes, teeth being bared and eyes narrowing again, but this time not out of despair. The expression was as clear as day. Fury. He looks angry. Nick remarked, "He thinks we are responsible for the death of his young." "Of course he's angry," Mickey replied. Godzilla's mouth opened and a bold, chilling, heart-stopping snarl came out. What do we do?" Victor asked. "Running would be a good idea," Daisuke answered. The group turns tail and runs for their lives as a fully enraged Godzilla roars and emerges completely from the ground, chasing after them. They turn down an alley as the monster tries to wedging his head between the buildings to reach them. Audrey stumbles as the others climb over a fence. Nick doubles back and helps her up, just as Godzilla lunges forward to snap them up. They narrowly avoided his massive jaws and keeps running, emerging onto a street. Daisuke spots a taxi and dashes inside, yelling for everyone to get inside. Godzilla roars furiously, sending garbage and the cars flying out of the alley. Everyone gets in the cab, and Daisuke uses a knife to turn the key holder, then accelerate forward. Godzilla appears from behind a building right in front of them, forcing Daisuke to make a daring move. He drives into Godzilla's foot and uses it as a ramp to get past the monster. Godzilla turns and follows them, leaning down to run on all fours like a gigantic crocodile. Uh, you best step on it, Mr. Japan. Angry monster gaining, Victor yelled. The chase continues, the cab dodging and weaving as the behemoth attempted to crush it. Audrey and Victor frantically shout directions to Daisuke, who does his best to follow them. Suddenly, Godzilla stops pursuing them and stands upright, a familiar green glow creeping up his back. "Make up your minds," Daisuke yells as he spins the wheel frantically. Godzilla fires his atomic breath and destroying the entire street. The cab barely avoids it. "Broadway! Takes the Broadway!" both of them shouted. "We're traveling down Broadway. Make a right on 34th Street," Sergeant O'Neill said over the radio as his company drove down the grainy road. He caught off guard when a taxi appears from nowhere, and suddenly Godzilla emerges from behind a building hot on the vehicle's tail. The taxi swerves to avoid them, while they desperately try to avoid being trampled by Godzilla. "That's O'Neill!" Nick shouted. "Turn around!" "What?" Daisuke said. "Are you crazy?" Mickey asked. "Just do it!" Daisuke makes a U-turn, and Godzilla stumbles and falls while trying to turn around after them. This buys them precious second to reach O'Neill. "Command, this is O'Neill. Come out. Please come in," he pleads with his radio before noticing the approaching taxi, followed by Godzilla. A hand comes out the window holding a license plate, followed by a voice yelling his name and throwing it at him. He can't get catch it as he forced to duck when Godzilla rushes past him. He gets back up and watches the giant chase after the car out of sight, then notices the plate. He picks up and reads the number. Then his radio's crackle. O'Neill, what is going on? It was Colonel Hicks. He's back, sir, said a breathless O'Neill. What? Who's back? Godzilla. I repeat, Godzilla is still alive. Hicks drops the phone in shock. Then he looks around for a few seconds. Everyone in the room heard the news and had stopped dead in their tracks. He spots Hunter Anderson. Anderson, are your jets still in the air? No, they just arrived back at base. Load the cadmium missiles and send them up again. But Colonel, we don't have time. We gotta stop that thing now, or there won't be a city left to save. Understood. They should be ready in 5. Anderson finished. Daisuke tries going down another ally to lose Godzilla with no luck, and the monster again tries to blast them with atomic breath. Meanwhile, O'Neill and some of the men searches a cab company for a record of radio frequencies and eventually finds one that matches the plate. It's getting closer, Victor screamed as the Godzilla snapped at the cab. As close his hot rancid breath could be felt through the half shattered windows. There, into the tunnel. Go, 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 Nick yelled while pointing at at a tunnel. Godzilla's head gets stuck at the opening, but the tunnel hits a dead end quickly. Daisuke is forced to stop the car, leaving them trapped inside. What do we do? Audrey wailed. Turn off the lights, Mickey said. Daisuke obliged. Suddenly the rail in the crab cracker. Nick, are you there, Nick? It's O'Neill's voice. O'Neill? Nice trick with the license plates. Where the hell are you? You have to help us. We're in the Park Avenue tunnel. Godzilla reaches forward to grab the car. They reverse, just barely avoiding Claw. He's got us trapped in here. Okay, listen. You guys have got to lure him out into the open so we can get a clear shot at him. Oh, no problem, said Victor with a sarcastic tone. You want us to wash him up for you, too? Suddenly, Nick gets an idea. Where's the nearest suspension bridge? Brooklyn, Audrey replied. Alright, let's go. And how would you like us to do that? Daisuke asked before a light made them turn. It was Godzilla. At the back of his throat was an ominous green glow was building. Hurry, Nick. Audrey begged. Does this thing have high beams? Daisuke nodded. Let's go. They drove past. They drove straight at Godzilla. His mask was fully alight and about to fire. Audrey and Victor screamed. Now! Nick yelled. The high beam shone directly into Godzilla's eye, making him flinch just long enough for the cab to drive under his head and back out onto the street. Godzilla looks back, and the green glow fading, then resumed his pursuit. Target is heading to the Brooklyn Bridge, sir, O'Neill's reports to Nick. He turned towards one of his operators and told them to direct the F-18s to the bridge. The cab accelerates forward and onto the bridge, but something isn't right. Hey, he's not following us, Audrey said. Really? Nick looked back and confirmed that Godzilla was gone. The bridge ahead them abruptly burst open, and out pops Godzilla's roaring head. Everyone screams in terror as Daisuke tried to turn around, but it was too late. The jaw lunged forward and snapped up the taxi, lifting it into the air. Oh, you got to be kidding me, man. We're in his mouth, Victor shouted. We're in his goddamn mouth. Daisuke tries to floor it with no light, then puts the car in reverse, clearly panicking and not shrinking straight. The car began to slide towards the carnivorous throat at the other end. You're in the wrong way, man. You're going the wrong way. Godzilla shakes his head and bites down on the car. Luckily, it was wedged between his enormous teeth, so the passenger didn't get chewed to be. But the green glow appeared behind her. Ah, shit. He's gonna barbecue us, Victor wailed. Nick looks around desperately. They spot a loose electrical cable dangling outside his window. He reaches for it and jams it into the monster's skull, sending spark and blood flying. Godzilla shrieks in pain, the green glow vanishing, then his head lowers for a moment. Daisuke, Daisuke, gun it! Gun it! Go, 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 go! The car rockets out of the kaiju's mouth, then flies down the bridge. Godzilla leaps up, and he begins chasing once more, then leaps onto the support pillar and jumps down. The force of his landing rocks the whole bridge and makes the car tumble out of control. A wheel comes loose and another tire busts, resulting in the car fishtailing and crashing. Everyone gets out unharmed, but they look up to see Godzilla staring down at them. The monster roars furiously as the green glow again appears. This time, it seems there's no way out. Audrey grabs onto Nick as they all brace, but out of nowhere, a barrage strikes Godzilla's flank. He shakes it off and looks over at the river. Nick and the other looks to see several destroyers approaching. "Well, that's a good timing," Daisuke remarked. "We got his attention, Admiral." The captain of the first ship said into his radio, awaiting further orders. "Understood." Admiral Phelps puts down his radio and turns to General Anderson. "How close are your bird?" "About a minute away," Anderson replied. Phelps backs on the radio. It's back on the radio. "Proceed with the plan. Air support will arrive in under 60 seconds. Copy that." The captain then shouts to his crew. "All hands, commence Operation Sasuzunu." The crew races to prepare everything. Meanwhile, Godzilla began glowing as he prepares to attack the ship. Suddenly, a flare is shot into the night sky from the ship, making Godzilla look up in curiosity. As he watches the flare soar and burn brightly, he then notices the two jets drawing closer and closer. Target in sight, locked on and awaiting orders. "Don't fire yet," Anderson instructed. "Wait until he..." Godzilla then opened his mouth to roar at the flare. "Now! Aim for the throat!" The missile blasts forth from the wings of the jet, screaming towards Godzilla before he can even react. The three strikes the back of his throat and one on his flank. He staggers, the gray-colored liquid cadmium spilling out of his mouth. "Direct hit!" A pilot shouted as they flew past Godzilla, narrowly avoiding his snapping jaws. Down on the bridge, Nick and the other watch the scene unfold until the bridge buckles beneath them. They spot military personnel arriving on the other end and rushes to them. O'Neill is with them. "O'Neill!" Nick shouted. "What the hell's going on?" "Saving our ass. That's what," he said, then pointed to the sky. "Those jets are carrying a new type of missiles. They're filled with liquid cadmium. Supposedly, it messes with the big guy's body." "Liquid cadmium?" Nick asked, suddenly remembering the document he found at the base. He looks up at Godzilla, who seems to now be disorientated. He tries to shake it off, then roars at the jets, preparing to fire an atomic breath. "Sir, Rule hit him with 3 missiles, but he's still moving," one pilot said. "Well, circle around and fly again." "Copy that." The jet turns and fired just as Godzilla is about to blast them. This time, all of the missiles hit home, making Godzilla stumble back and cry out in pain. Nick watches in awe as the monster visibly begins to weaken, his massive legs buckling, his arms hanging down, and his eyelids drooping. The cadmium was working. Then, with one final burst of energy, Godzilla lifts his head skyward and roars one last time before falling to his knees and collapsing forward. Nick barely has time to get to safety before the giant beast's head comes crashing down onto him. He slowly looks up at the now fallen Godzilla, who his audible sounds are deep, slow breaths, getting slower each time. His eyes are just barely cracked open, the glow fading. All around them, a deep boom A boom sound shakes the bridge, the pumping of the Titan's heart. It starts to slow. Then someone walks past Nick's neck towards Godzilla. It's making like gooses. She stops just short of Godzilla's snout, and the two lock eyes. She holds out her hand to him. For a moment, all is still and quiet. The only sounds are the patter of the rain and the thumping of his heart. And then the beating stops. Godzilla's eyes close. The kings of monsters was dead, holding back tears. Miki utter her final words to him. Sayonara, Fury, Tomodachi. She then turns around, head held low, and marches up to Nick. Are you alright? Nick asked her. Yes, she said, then sighed. It just feels like the end. The end of what? An era, she replied. My work with Gojira has finally come to a close. She then walks past him, up to Daisuke, and bows her head. Daisuke returns the gesture, then glances at Nix and smiles. Thank you, Dr. Tapalis. I wish you the best in life. He turns around and both starts to walk away, past the newly gathered crowds of soldiers, news reporters, and civilian bystanders, including Sergeant O'Neill's. Nick feels a hand as his on his soldier and turns to see Audrey, who offers him a light-hearted smile. O'Neill looks at the colossal body before them, now illuminated as the cloud finally recedes and the rising morning sun is revealed, before turning to his troops and shouting, Mission accomplished! An uproar of cheers follows. Nick and Audrey embrace each other as Victor turns to the thrilled crowd. News camera films the scene with the headline Godzilla defeated, plastered across every functional TV in the city. Back in the Pallotti household, Lucy is shocked to see Victor on the news. Oh my god, that's my husband, she shouted. I'm so gonna kill him. Celebration ensures at the military base as well. Maya Eberts suggests making a new campaign titled The Mayor Who Destroyed Godzilla, but it only makes his assistant groan. All across the city, people are overjoyed at the news. Nick and Audrey takes in the scene around them before Victor walks up to them. So, what do we do now? He asked. Nick pondered for a moment, then decided on something. How about we all go to your place for a beer or two? I think we all deserve one. They laughed and began making their way off the bridge, but not before O'Neill stops them to thank them and congratulate them. Then Charles Kyman shouted, about how we got the exclusive story. We? Replied Audrey. Who's we? Us, you and I. I don't think so. What are you talking about? You work for me. Not anymore, Chuck. I quit. She finished with a smirk, then pushed him aside. They continued walking down the bridge, but in all the pandemonium, nobody happens to notice a slight movement from the carcass, fingers twitching, a faint green glow, and a beating sound slowly getting faster and louder. Then an eye opened. One by one, people stopped cheering and turned to look. Eventually, the trio does as well. A low growl echoes across the bridge. Oh no, Nick uttered. With a mighty heave, Godzilla rises from his resting spot. Cheers turns to screaming as crowds runs in terror. Nick, Audrey, and Victor watches in horror as the monster rears up to his full height, eyes opening completely. He looks down at the crowd fleeing for their lives, then at the ship next to the bridge. He growls and narrows his eyes, visibly enraged. Nick then makes an odd move and starts running towards the monster. Audrey and Victor both try to stop him, but he breaks free, shouting about needing to reach O'Neill. The sergeant, meanwhile, scrambles to the nearest radio. Colonial, come in, Colonial. O'Neill, what's happening out there? Came. Hick's loud and panicked voice. He's still alive, sir. I repeat, I can see that, damn it. Dan turns to General Anderson and Admiral Phelps, get yourselves to the surface and surround the bridge. Anderson, turn those jets around. We used up all the cadmium. I don't care. Either we hit that bastard everything we got now, or he's weak, or let him walk all over us. The two scramble to get everything in order. 15 seconds, the Brooklyn Bridge is surrounded entirely by militaries of all kinds. Nick finally reaches O'Neill and calls him out. Doctor, you gotta leave. It's too dangerous. I know, but I need. He can't finish his sentences before a growl makes them look up. Godzilla looks around, regarding his opponent with a furious glare. The destroyers, subs, and jets come close the gap, preparing to fire. Lets out a deafening roar. Then once more, his spines begin to glow. But before either sides can attack, another call echoes from the nearby cities. Upon hearing it, Godzilla's eyes widen, and his spine instantly ceases glowing. He looks around. He looks over at the nearby skyscraper. Nick, O'Neill, Audrey, and Victor all follow his gazes. Nick spots something moving out of the skyline. His face turns to shock when he realizes what it is. It's the babies. The pair of juvenile Godzillas, who apparently survived being bombed, slowly lumbers to the edge of the river, where they begin calling again. As if on cue, Godzilla roars back to them, then suddenly jumps off the bridge, causing it to buckle dangerously. Nick nearly falls over the edge, but O'Neill catches him in time. Audrey and Victor helps pull Nick up. Then they turn to watch the reunion. Godzilla emerges from the river in front of these children, then leans down and touch them with his snout. Fearsome's growl are now replaced by a softer, almost gentle sounding bellow. It's a surprisingly poignant scene for all watching. Sergeant, come in! The voice of the Colonel Hicks bark over O'Neill's radio. He picks it up. Yeah, what is it? What are you waiting for? Line them up while they're distracted. Roger. Oh, wait, O'Neill. Nick suddenly grabbed the radio. I'm sorry, Colonel, but I gotta object. What? The Templars? What on earth are you on about? It's just that this creature, they don't want to be here. They never did. They just wanted to be together. It's not right to do this to him. Did you hit your head, worm guy? That's crazy talk. Sir, I know how it sounds, but hear me out. Sorry, Nick. The safety of the city and its people comes first. Colonial. Wait. But before Nick could continue, a hand shot out and grabbed the radio. He looks over and is shocked to see Mickey. Mickey? Please listen to the doctor. He knows what he's talking about. What the? Who is this? Next question. Nick takes back the line for a second. It's a work colleague. He then hands it to Mickey. It's all yours. He is right about Godzilla, she continues. All she all he wants is his family back. He is not destructive by nature, nor are his children. They are the last of their kind, and the only thing they have left in this world is each other. To kill them just because they were turned into monsters by our own meddling would be a terribly evil thing to do. Godzilla turns back to face the ship, anger building on his face once again. It was clear he was ready to fight his way out if he has to. Nick then takes the line again. Sir, all I'm saying is that they don't belong here, and I'm sure they know that. Godzilla's found what he's looking for, and now the next thing they'll do is to go back where they came from. All animals have the instinct to return to the original territory to their home. So why risk throwing more soldiers' life away when we could just let them leave? The lion was silent for a minute. Then came a sigh. I hope you're right, Worm Guy. Hand the line to the Sarge. You're obliged. And O'Neill picks up. Yes, sir. Stand down? Yeah, of course, sir. He then radios all his companies and tells them to stand down. Meanwhile, Admiral Phelps and the General at this end do the same. The ships and subs in the river part, forming a path for Godzilla. His face relaxes, seemingly realizing that they were standing down. He calls to his youngs, then bends down, allowing them to climb onto his back. He then begins to march forward, heading towards the bridge. When he reaches it, he raises his arm. Nick and the sergeant turn and run for cover, just as just as Godzilla brings down his hand to smash the bridge. He continues forward. The juveniles turn to stare at the shocked crowd. Mickey runs forward and watches them go with a smile. Nick, Victor, and Audrey roars to the join her. Looks up to join her. They watch as Godzilla and his two youngsters dive into the bay. One final roar from the mighty monster filling the air before he begins swimming out to sea. As his outline grows smaller and smaller in the distance, Mickey turns towards the groups and bows. Thank you all for everything. Me and Mr. Honda could never have done it without you. She then hands Nick a small paper slip. On it is a phone number. But just in case any more incident occurs, I will be in touch. She holds out her hands to shake and Nick takes it. Goodbye and thank you again. She turns and leaves. Hey, speak of Mr. Honda, Audrey asks. Audrey suddenly said, where is he anyway? He wasn't with Mickey. While they began to look around, O'Neill receives one last radio message. O'Neill, do you read me? It was Hicks. Yes, sir, he said. He was afraid of what the colonel would say. That's one hell of a job, soldier, Hicks continued, surprising O'Neill. That's one hell of a job. Roger that, sir. Meanwhile, Victor suddenly realized he doesn't have the tape in his camera. He asked Audrey if she took it. She said no. Then Nick gets a call from a number he doesn't recognize. Hello? Who is it? It's Daisuke. Where are you? That doesn't matter. Tell your friend I will send them the tape after I remove a few items from it. Okay, I understand. I'd just like to thank you for your help, all of you. You're brilliant young men. Nick Tapalis. I do hope we'll meet again someday. The the call then ends, and Bicycle leaves the payphone booth he was standing at, wandering off into the street. Who are all those Japanese guys anyway? Audrey asked Nick. It's not important, Nick replied. Did you say something about my type? Victor said. Richard asked. Yeah. He said he'll get it back soon enough. Nick answered, then turned to watch the sunrise again. The faint outlines of the monster illuminated by it. Where do you think they're going now? Audrey asked. Home, Nick said. Wherever that might be. Hopefully far away from here, added Victor, making the group laugh. So Nick, Audrey asked again, do you think that monsters really will take over the Earth someday? Well, who knows? We replied. After all, no species lasts forever. Once our time is up, anything could really become the next dominant species, but I wouldn't be worried about it. Really? Yeah, somebody once told me, I believe every being deserves a chance to live, no matter how big or scary. And you believe that? Well, maybe, but for now, I think we should go home too. Feel like we all need a good nap. After another laugh from the group, then they suddenly swarmed by a reporter begging for the details about the creatures and the story. Sorry, folks, Nick said. I promised my story as an exclusive to another reporter. He looks at Audrey and smiles. She smiles back and the group sets off down the bridge. In the distance, Godzilla, king of the monsters, rises from the sea with his two young hairs clinging to his back. He looks at the rising sun, seemingly calmed by it. He then looks back at his children, who growls and snorts happily. He takes one last glance at New York City, the place where he had gone through so much to get his family back. But none of that mattered to him now, because he had everything he had wanted. Now he was heading back to that special isolated land where he and his kin could live in peace. He was going home. The end.